Hare Krishna. So I think it would be very appropriate to sing Jai Radha Madhava. I don't have any cartels. I can clap. You just watch. How? I know, but you got to climb over everybody. Someone will play the cartels. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Srimati Radharani ki jai. So, thank you very much. This is a wonderful turnout. Everybody's very enthusiastic about Srimati Radharani, as we should be. And so, let me offer my obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Presaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharini, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastata Deshatarani. Om Jnanatambarandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Śrī Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, on one side, I feel very fortunate to be asked to speak about Srimati Radharani tonight. On the other side, I realize how, I'm just like, it's very difficult. It's a very esoteric and deep subject matter, Srimati Radharani. So I'd like to turn, as always, to Srila Prabhupada's books. Now, I assume most of you, or almost all of you, know about the Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most authorized biography of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj, a great devotee of the Lord, Bhakti Saraswati, like that. So right at the beginning of the book, we have what we call a Mangalacharana. Mangalacharana are verses that are written at the beginning of a major literary work to give the subject matter, to offer obeisances, glorification, and blessings to the readers, actually. That's also there. So in verse 5 of chapter 1, we have a wonderful verse about Srimati Radharani, which is then explained in the 4th chapter. The whole Adi Leela, especially the beginning of the Adi Leela, goes through these Mangalacharan verses and explains each one. So some of you may know this verse. I'll just chant it. If you know it, you can chant along. Radha Krishna Pranihabhikutir Ladhini Shakti Rasmad Ekatmanav Abhibhuvipara Deha Bedam Katautau Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Baduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Tutisabalitang Naumi Krishna Swarupam. which means the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency, Ladini. Ladini. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Now in chapter 4, this verse is explained very nicely, and I'd like to turn there because this is describing who Srimati Radharani was in relation to Lord Chaitanya also, of course. Okay, so... Oh, this is not what I'm looking for. Okay. Okay. So, you may note that this is describing that Radharani is actually personified Ladini Shakti. Ladini Shakti is the love of Godhead in the form of an energy. Krishna has these three internal energies by which he manifests the Goloka Vrindavan and all the activities there. The Ladini, Sandini, and Samvit. Ladini is the bliss potency, pure love of Godhead. Srimati Radharani personifies that. Samvit is the knowledge potency by which everyone knows everything that's going on up there. And the Sandini potency is the existence potency. All the bodies, the trees, everything is there is by the Sandini potency. They're all spiritual. So, in that verse I just read, it described Radharani is this Ladini Shakti, pure love of Godhead personified. So he expands on that in this text here, which is chapter 4, text 68. I'll skip the Bengali. The essence of the Ladini potency is love of God. The essence of love of God is emotion or bhava. And the ultimate development of emotion is Mahabhava. So, and now go on to the next verse. Sri Radha Thakurani is the embodiment of Mahabhava. She is the repository of all good qualities and the quest jewel among all the lovely consorts of Lord Krishna. I'll just read this short purport. The unadulterated action of Ladini Shakti is displayed in the dealings of the damsels of Braja and Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost participant in that transcendental group. The essence of Ladini Shakti is love of Godhead. The essence of love of Godhead is bhava, or transcendental sentiment. And the highest pitch of that bhava is called Mahabhava. Srimati Radharani is the personified embodiment of these three aspects of transcendental consciousness. She is therefore the highest principle in love of Godhead and is the supreme lovable object of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So we have a few more quotes here, then we'll expand a little bit, and we have a slideshow for you. Okay, so the next, okay, of these, I'm sorry, 71. Srimati Radharani's mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy, and she helps him in his pastimes. Now, this is a very interesting little purport. Srimati Radharani is as fully spiritual as Krishna is. No one should consider her to be material. She is definitely not like the Gajitsan souls who have material bodies, gross and subtle, covered by material senses. She is all spiritual, and both her body and her mind are of the same spiritual embodiment. Because her body is spiritual, her senses are also spiritual, thus her body, mind, and senses fully shine in love of Krishna. She is the personified Ladini Shakti, pleasure-giving potency of Lord's internal energy, and therefore she is the only source of enjoyment for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Now, what does that mean? What about all the other servants there? Well, the other servants, their service is this probably one's mentioned like that this is, Srimati Radharani is involved in everyone's service. In other words, if she approves of your service, then you're in, then your service is pleasing the Krishna. That's the whole point.
Dravida Prabhu?
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt the flow of your talk, but I just want to fit more people into the temple room. So I know it seems packed, but actually it can be more packed. So if you can all squeeze closer, more toward the front and closer together, more toward the center and more toward Dravida Prabhu. There are people on the patio who also want to come in. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so as close together as you can. As close together as you can. I think you can even get closer, side to side too. Push toward the center.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, Judith. We'll
That's
continue.
okay. So now this next point is very important. Śrī Kṛṣṇa cannot enjoy anything that is internally different from him. Therefore, Radha and Krishna are identical in the same way that fire and its heat is identical. But you see, the intrinsic energy of something that's the Sandhini. Therefore, Radha and Krishna are identical. The Sandhini portion of Krishna's internal potency. So this is, remember, the manifesting the things there, has manifested the all-attractive form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and the same internal potency in the Ladini feature has presented Srimati Radharani, who is the attraction for the all-attractive. No one can match Srimati Radharani in the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Okay. And then one more here. Okay, I think I did that one already. So all of this is very esoteric, obviously. But we should know that when we engage in Krishna consciousness, when we take up Bhakti Yoga, we're actually under the aegis or under the guidance, even though we may not know it, of Srimati Radharani. Because as Prabhupada explains here and is stated in the verses, that she is the most pleasing servant of Krishna. She knows just how to please him in all ways. And we have to remember that it's completely wholesome. Even though the dancing with the gopis. I mean, I remember, probably many devotees who travel more than I do get this experience. I was in some airport, I think in Europe somewhere, and picking up my bag from the carousel or whatever. And I was of course dressed like this. I knew I was a Hare Krishna. And someone who had some, exposure said, "How can you worship a God who's so immoral and dances with other men's wives and all these things?" I didn't try to engage. I just said, "Hare Krishna." I got my bag and departed. I didn't want to get in. So this is the Radha and Krishna's Leela through the material screen. In other words, the illusion. There's nothing sinful about it. It's the most pious thing that happens, you see? Even though it looks like something it isn't. Because, as Prabhupada so often explained, and as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, those familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, remember the 15th chapter right at the beginning? It describes the upside-down banyan tree. If you're sitting you're standing next to a lake, some quiet, and there's a tree on the other side, then the top of the tree is at the bottom in the reflection. So how many times did Prabhupada say, this world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world? So we can't. So the dancing with other men's wives and all that here it is abominable. It's the perverted reflection. But in the spiritual world, because this is called parakiya ras, or the lawless love. There's more excitement there. There's more, there's an element of it that adds to the pleasure if you do it. And it's because it's all for Krishna, it's wonderful, it's perfect, you see. In the 4th chapter, I remember when I first read it, it's so enlightening. It describes that the gopis, they decorate their bodies and they put on the ornaments and everything, only to please Krishna. Everything that they're doing, they're thinking that this will please Krishna there. And when Krishna and Radharani get together, Krishna smiles, he sees beautiful Radharani, and Radharani becomes more ecstatic to see Krishna smile, then she becomes more beautiful, and he becomes more ecstatic, and it's like two mirrors, when you're a kid, two mirrors back and forth, So this is what's going on in the spiritual world, and Srimati Radharani is an essential part of it, especially in the highest realm of Goloka Vrindavan. When Prabhupada says go back home, back to Godhead, that's what he's talking about, going back there. Vaikuntha is also the spiritual world, but things are more formal there. There's Narayan, with his forearms and everything, and he's got all the mood is servanthood, everything is servant. There's no friendship, there's friends in there. So that's fine. That's because everyone in awe and reverence, And Prabhupada said when we first beginning, worship Radha and Krishna, we should have that awe and reverence. We shouldn't try to be familiar, in the early stage. They may come much, much later. But that's the awe and reverence and the prayer. This I wanted to cover. Prabhupada explained in that famous address in on the first record album. He was describing what the Hare Krishna mantra is. So there, I think it's there, he said, or something similar, that this is a call. We're calling on Radha and Krishna. We're calling on them. Please engage me in your service. Please, take away, these material desires, and let me simply become your servant. Lord Chaitanya taught us how to pray in the Shikshastika. The Shikshastika is essential, to understand the process of Krishna consciousness as taught by Lord Chaitanya. And he's teaching us how to pray. What does he say? Nadanang, najanang, nasundarim, kavitam vajagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmani shade, bhavatar bhakti rahoitiki vahi. Wealth and women, followers, the fruits of mundane piety, liberation from this world of limitless anxiety. For me, O Lord, these common goals have not the slightest worth. Let me serve you purely now and in each future birth. This is bhakti. This is pure devotion, not tinged at all with any material desire. You see, this is how we have to. If we really want to attain the highest thing, we have to, which is pure devotional service, following in the mood of Srila Prabhupada and great intimate associates. Then we have to realize that we have to get rid of all traces of the material desires that are there. And this is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami in the Madhya Lila, which are the most extensive and detailed teachings with all commentary in the CC. There's many others important ones, but those. And there, when he begins describing Abhideya, Abhideya is the practice of devotional service. There's three stages: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. And Lord Chaitanya says all the Vedas, this is all they're teaching. They may not know that, and people don't know, but that's it. So what are those things? Sambandha means relationship. What is this world? Where did it come from? Who am I? What's my relationship with God? This is Sambandha. And that's taught throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and so forth. And Sambandha ultimately means, what is my eternal relationship with Krishna? That's also part of it in the highest stage, which we want to finally have revealed by our pure devotion. So then he describes all that, and Sanatana is the perfect surrendered soul. He says, who am I? Why am I suffering? What's the goal of my life? If I don't know these things, I may be known as a very a wonderful scholar, but I really don't know anything important. So this is how he surrendered to Lord Chaitanya. He quit the job as the prime minister of the government. Escaped because the Kazi wouldn't let him leave. And then he came, to see Lord Chaitanya in Varanasi, and he for what, a month, 2 months with it. I think he was instructed by Lord Chaitanya, and that's recorded in the CC. So right at the beginning, he chants this verse. I'm going to share it with you. I put it into a poem, and it has to do with what we really want to do. We really need to do is purify our intelligence through studying and hearing, associating with devotees. And that strong intelligence will then give us the strength to reject all the things that we know are we're holding on to, impediments. So Prabhupada quotes this verse all the time. Kama dinam katina katita palita durni deshas. Tesham jata mayana karuna natrapano pashanti. Utsrid jaitan. Asa yarupate sampradam labdha buddhis. And how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy. On I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting those hellish desires. For my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. And this is and then Lord Chaitanya explains the process of keeping that purified intelligence, strengthening the intelligence, and purifying one's existence, becoming more and more able to actually understand and relish some of these higher levels of devotional service, because this is it. This is the greatest endeavor that human beings can have. Srila Prabhupada gave us, not just bhakti. But bhakti following Lord Chaitanya. You can go to your Vaishnava that Lord Chaitanya taught. The pure love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada and others, so that we can discover who we really are. What is it? Who can tell me? What is the definition of mukti given in the second canto that Prabhupada would always quote? Very important. Not the liberation. Anyone? Muktir hitva anyata rupam swarupena vivastiti. Mukti doesn't mean merging into Brahman, and said, oh, finally, no more birth, old age, disease, and death. It's just like, that's like a sensory deprivation chamber. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. I haven't either, but I know what it is. Where there's perfect temperature, there's water there, you're just floating along. Oh, this is great. Oh my God, I got to go to work. You can't stay there. And you can't stay in the Brahmajyoti. I'm free of birth, old age, disease, and death. Now what? For a devotee, that Brahmajyoti is like going to hell. Kaivalyam narakayate. Yes. Prabodhanacharya taught it in Lord Chaitanya. Because there's no Krishna there. We're not persons. We're just free of birth and death. But that's not our real identity. We have an identity in Krishna's Leela in Goloka Vrindavan. You see? And we want to discover that. And that's this process. So, this one more wonderful verse. I did this one already. So, Srimati Radharani, her role, now, I just want you to call your attention. I'm sure you may have noticed this, or maybe not, but Srimati Radharani always has this hand. You see this? This is a mudra. Does anyone remember the name of the mudra? Very good. Abhay Dan. What's Dan? A gift. What is Abhay? Fearlessness. Fearlessness. As soon as we leave Goloka Vrindavan, as soon as we leave the spiritual world, trying to enjoy this world, immediately fear comes. Because we forget Krishna. The only way we can do that is to forget Krishna, but He's our Savior. He's giving us full protection. We've left the protection. And so that fearfulness can be mitigated when we turn back to Krishna and we come under the guidance. And even in the most dangerous situation, we can be inspired by Prahlad and all these other wonderful devotees who showed that. Srila Prabhupada. Can you imagine? Does anyone here think that they could get onto a boat, not even a plane, to travel for thousands of miles, and elderly age, not in the best of health, $7, that's not even convertible, $7 worth of rupees, going to a place you don't really have any contact, you have one contact in this obscure city in western Pennsylvania, which has become famous, Butler, Pennsylvania. And now that, do you realize what courage that took? What complete reliance on Krishna. Just like when he came and he wrote that prayer in Boston, Markane Bhagavad Dharma, which means Krishna consciousness in the East, in the West. So he said, oh, Krishna, I don't know why you brought me to this horrible place. He took a walk in Boston Harbor, and he saw, modern American city. A horrible place. But there's some reason. So if you like, you can make my speaking, adequate to impress these people. How is he going to impress? We have less than 5 minutes. Oh, less than 5 minutes. Okay. Does anyone have the power to expand time? All right. So anyway, it's a wonderful topic. We can go on. But the point is, this is a wonderful day. We can pray to Srimati Radharani for please presenting us to Krishna, please helping us to practice more sincerely and move nicely along the path of devotional service, and especially to help others to become Krishna conscious. She is personified mercy. And I'll share this one more verse with you. This one is a prayer written by Raghunath Das Goswami, and is Vilap Kusumanjali, means an offering of flowers comprising his ardent hopes. And near the beginning has this verse, some of you may notice, Devi Dukka Kulasagadodade Duyamana Mati Durgatam Janam Tam Kripapa Badanaukayabatam Prapaya Sapatapangajalayam. I'm sorry, I haven't poeticized it yet. But Devi means, oh Goddess Radharani. Dukka Kulasagadodade, I'm drowning in an ocean of misery here in this material world. You see? Dukkha Sagar, Duyamanamati Durgatam Janam. I'm very unfortunate. Please place me on the powerful boat of your mercy I'm in the ocean now of misery. Take me up on the boat of your mercy and take me to the infallible shelter of your lotus feet. Beautiful, beautiful thing, you know. So if you want the Sanskrit and everything, just write to me. I'll do it. And finally, one more. I don't know. We're not going to have a chance to do this. Things going on. But here's another verse by Raghunath Goswami, which I did poeticize. Some of you may be familiar with it. And he's talking about the names of Radha and Krishna. Radheti nama navasundara siddhu mugdam, Krishneti nama madhurabhadagara dugdham, savakshanam sadabhiraga himena ramyam kritvat daiva bhivame rasane chudarte. An excellent fresh nectar drink with endless subtle tastes. Such is the name of Radha, by whom all three worlds are graced. Condensed milk that is wonderfully delicious, thick and sweet. Such is the name of Krishna, in whom all attractions meet. Now mix these drinks, O thirsty tongue, and add the cooling, fragrant spice of love. A prize the wise will try to buy at any price. And then at every moment, drink this beverage most fine, and make my heart supremely blissful, peaceful, and divine. So, I had it all set, but we don't want to go over. So, and I can't ask for questions because we don't have any time. So I said I can't ask for questions, so he must have a very urgent question. What's the question?
You said that no one can match Radharani's service to Krishna, but I was thinking about Balaram.
Okay, we have 1 minute for one question by Ritvik. What's your question, Ritvik? Say again.
I was thinking when you said no one can match the service of Radharani to Krishna, what about Balaram?
What about Balaram?
The question is, if no one can match the service that Radha gives Krishna, what about Balaram?
I'm afraid to answer that. I don't want to get the ire of Balaram on me, and I don't want to get Radharani mad with me. I think we'll... Yeah. I'm going to take the fifth. Do you know what that means? Can you explain to him? Can you explain to him?
We'll explain. Thank you so much, Shivadapa. Thank you so much.
Okay, all glories to Prabhupada.